Handy, my people. So in today's episode on Table Noire, I will share my Table Noire with Ja, a social worker by all means, who work close with the refugee and her Somali community. So Jawahir, Mahad Said.
That
I
was
was
close.
already.
Yeah.
I try to be bilingual like that. Mahad Said means thank you in Somali. So thank you for your presence.
Thank you for having me here.
My pleasure. So sit tight, open your eyes, mind and spirit, and where's on Table Noire? So Jawahir, thanks for being here. I really appreciate that. So I don't know if you know, but I will tell you now. What we do on Table Noire is like we're documenting Black community and diaspora all around the world. So I took a special interest in the Norway Black community because first, who knows, that we're there, but also especially because there's a big Somali presence in Norway. You even have your own area named Greenland. It's like
You claimed it.
you took it by force. It's like it's really like Somali place, Somali town. So this is why I was really interested to really understand more about this environment and everything. So first, just present yourself.
My name is Jawahir. I'm 30. I came to Norway when I was 6, which I will talk a bit more about later. I have my bachelor degree in welfare studies, and I did my master's in migration studies in the UK. And excuse my voice, I have a cold.
It's cold.
It's cold outside, so that's why I have a cold.
Okay, all good. Appreciate for the little introduction. So, as you told me, you were born in Somalia. If I don't say it bad, Mogadishu.
Correct.
Yeah. So you were born in Somalia, Mogadishu, yeah. So please, just tell me how you went from Somalia, Mogadishu to Norway. What happened?
So my mom was the one that first came to Norway. She migrated to Norway due to the war in Somalia. And the reason why she came to Norway was because her siblings was already here. So they came to Norway before her. So she went through the whole process of seeking asylum and staying in asylum center. And after she got her permit, she applied for something called family reunion. So that's how I came here.
Okay, it says through the family reunion you were able to get there. Okay, so you just stay in Somalia, or before arriving to Norway you've been a little bit around?
Yeah, so I've been a little nomad my whole life, and so I was born in Somalia, but also lived in Kenya for some time, and then Ethiopia before I came to Norway.
Okay, so you've been Somalia, Kenya, Ethiopia, after that Norway. Okay, stay in the East, yeah.
Yes, staying in East.
Okay, so now, I would like to understand what was your feeling coming to Norway, Europe, Norway? Because is there a moment or you arrived that you're okay, my life, realize that it's totally different, obviously, from Somalia, from what you lived before? You say okay, now I understand it's not no coming back. Somalia is done, you know?
So for me, since my mom came before me, and she was here, I wasn't with her for around maybe 3-4 years. So coming here was more, it was more the feeling that I'm coming to see my mom. So we took a flight. I came here. I was happy. I was seeing my mom, and I was still surrounded by family. So it didn't really go into my mind I'm in a totally different continent. It was just more, I'm traveling again, and now I'm gonna see my mom. So it was mostly that was in my head, and the feelings that I had was just around that.
I felt that it was technically a really family reunion.
Yeah, a real family reunion, yeah.
But so like you said, your family were there. The siblings of your mother were there. So you got your aunties, cousins. You have this old Somali shell, I will say. So you can keep still living in a way through them in Somalia. So you speak in Somali and all these things. But obviously, it's a totally different story when you get to school. like, because there's not someone in school. Like, obviously, yeah, you encounter a different culture. So how was the integration over there? Like, through the system, how did you feel integrate? How the school helped you to integrate there?
So yeah, starting school, that was my first feeling of, oh, I'm not in Africa. Because before I came to Norway, like I mentioned, I was in Somalia and Kenya and Ethiopia. So I was kind of used to not just being in Somalia, but being a bit around and moving. So coming to Norway was, again, another move. But I was still surrounded by family and people that I know and still speaking the language. But when I started school, that's when I realized, oh, I'm not in Africa because everyone else looks different. Like, I'm not used to seeing white people. So I was amazed by my classmates and the school, and they were speaking another language as well.
Yeah, how we were like even able to communicate with them.
So in Norway, back then, luckily they don't do it anymore. But when you start the first or the second grade, so I didn't go to kindergarten. I started straight at school. They had, if you didn't speak the language, they had a translator with you. Like, you will get a translator in the class that will translate what's being said.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I had.
So every time, every time the teacher will ask you a question or just like say something, the translator gonna translate. Every time that you're answering, you're gonna.
In the middle of the class, the translator was sitting right next to me and translating everything that was being said and also what I wanted to say.
That's okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. So way of, obviously, like, you have to be like a bit a part of the class then. You're not like really with the kids, but you're like a part of it a little bit.
And the thought behind it is that obviously it's supposed to help you, like it's supposed to include you in the class so you understand what's being said and you can also participate. But for me, and I know other people that also came to Norway at the age of like 7, 8, 9, around that age, who also had a translator, and they had a positive experience with that. For me, it was not so positive. All kids are very different, so something can be very positive for one kid and it can be negative for another one. And for me, I was more worried about what the other kids were thinking of me and what's being said around me that I didn't understand. So it made me feel more excluded. So the whole point of having the translator there was to include me, but I just wanted to be like all the other kids. So the fact that I had a translator, the other kids didn't have translators, that made me feel excluded. So since that didn't really work so well for me, and it even impacted my language learning. So it took longer for me to learn Norwegian because I wasn't paying attention to what was going on, what was being said. So later on, there is a class normally, if you're a bit older, 10 and above, I think, where you learn Norwegian. So I was later moved to that class because my Norwegian I wasn't learning Norwegian in the pace that I was supposed to.
Okay, I see. And as growing up, obviously, like, you're like your kid, almost teenager and stuff. Did you encounter like some cultural shock, like real cultural shock, where you're like, no, it doesn't make sense to me, other than the cold?
Actually, not really. Besides the cold, the winter, and the snow, I wouldn't say that I experienced any like cultural shocks, because also I was moving a lot when I came to Norway. So I moved,
still on the nomad.
Still on the nomad lifestyle. So I went to 4 different schools. So we moved from area which is like mostly white, and then came down to Oslo. So the 4th grade, when I started the 4th grade, I started school in Oslo, and by that time it was my 4th school.
Okay, I see.
So so cultural shock, besides snow, white people, like it wasn't. I didn't experience anything else that I would say was shocking for me.
That's nice. That's pretty rare, obviously. But also like the fact that you came at 6, you start like it helps a bit more. But also like technically how your integration went then? If you felt like, it was more like integration or like the desire of assimilation, not like from the system or like outside or within, if how was it for you?
I would like to mention my mom in this because even though we moved a lot when I after I moved to Norway, and even though I was changing school and I was changing friends and it was new like areas, and I still had home, the same core,
Still have the
my
shell,
mom.
the shell that you had from the beginning.
Yeah, and I'm very close to my cousins, so like every weekend, every holiday, we would go and visit them. So I was still surrounded by my Somali community and family, so it didn't really impact me as much. The whole moving and the changes didn't impact me as heavy.
Okay. So technically, like, to answer my question, you didn't really have like, at least there's no assimilation for you. It was more like try to lean smoothly into the Norway ways, like just dressing hard and doing your thing, but you're still living in your Somali shell to in this day. So there's no like, so would you call it integration then?
Well, I think the older I got, I started to understand the whole thing of integration and what it means, and I could like look back and look at my upbringing and how I grew up here. But when I was younger, no, it was more focused on the language. Like I was focusing on learning the language to not be excluded but be included, right? So like during primary school and all of that, that was my way of integrating. So in a way, you can say it is integration. It wasn't a thought or a feeling of, oh, I need to give away what is mine and what I'm used to, my language and my culture, and become this. But it was more, I have mine and I need to learn the language so I can also participate and be part of outside the house.
And so now, do you feel like you're Norwegian? If you cut my heart, like you're Norwegian, yeah? Because it's been 24 years you live in Norway, speaking the language perfectly. Most of the food, most of the things. So
I think that is an interesting question because when I introduce myself, I never say I'm Norwegian. I say I live in Norway. And I think subconsciously that explains it. That says what I feel. I don't feel Norwegian. And there is a lot of examples I can give on why, but no.
Okay. Well, like, because you have a little brother, you have a little sister. They were born in Norway. Obviously, like, it depends of the family, family vibe, the family. But they're not saying themselves like they're gonna say the Norwegian or they're gonna say the Somali.
That's the interesting part because my little sister, she's the youngest one, she will say she's Somali. Okay. My brother will probably say he's Somali Norwegian. So I think it's a individual thing. Like your identity is impacted by different. We all, even though we have the same upbringing, we lived in the same household, our identities are different. So even though they're born here, and I have cousins who are not born here, they will say they are more Norwegian than Somali. So I think there's just a lot of factors that impacts it.
And it's funny because, like, do you think like Norwegian, I mean like white Norwegian, even like the society then will take like children of migrants, so like your little sister or your little brother as real Norwegian, like,
I think that is also on the other part very individual. Like some Norwegians, they will say, "Oh, but you're born here or you came here when you were that young. You are Norwegian." I've got that a lot. Even people being surprised if it's work related or just like private, and I tell them, "Oh, I came to Norway when I was 6." "Oh, you're not born here," you know. So, "Oh, but you are Norwegian." So for some, I am Norwegian. For others, not really.
Okay, that's a mix that, to be honest, I I didn't really experience. You know, me also, I'm really like, when people ask me like, "Oh, it's been a while, I'm French," but they'll be like, "Oh, but you are you French," or stuff like that. I'll say like, "I'm Togolese Beninese," and they're like, "Okay, you know." Well, I'll never say like I'm French, but there's no, I don't remember at least a white French person coming to me and say like, "But you French, you French." You will be French when you do something good for France. So like, you know, be like, you know, they're gonna try to claim you technically, but not when you who you are. So yeah. And did you experience, because there's this ferry here that I said before on other episode, there's like this ferry, or like you're saying that, at least my ferry, I was coming here, so like Norwegian, they put more respect. There will be like there's more respect over other culture. You know, so your eyes. There's over respect about other, like, on other culture. They'll be not as rude as other people they experience, you know. So did you experience some racism in Norway?
I find it interesting that you say that Norwegians, like, they have more respect. I think Norwegians are less direct. Yeah, they're less direct, and they will have their opinions and feelings, but they just don't. They won't say it straight to your face unless it's like they're angry or they feel like, or drunk. They will say it to your face. But yeah, racism definitely. And discrimination, like even work-wise, even as a social worker, I've experienced a client saying that when I explained to him that I'm Somali, we never had face-to-face. It was only over the phone. We spoke over the phone, and he said, Can I get a different contact person?" He never saw me. I only said my name and where I'm from because he asked me where I was from. That says a lot.
Because yeah, like even like I said, it was a ferry for me. I came here. It's been like a while doing some back and forth. But first time, yeah, I came here, I was like, oh, it felt like more respect because they were like not coming at me. Like other places I've been, there people will come at me, yeah. They were looking like curious, you know. But like not the type of curious that we all know is like, okay, we're not in a zoo, bro. Like was the curious about like oh, where this person from? But like didn't really ask me where I'm from.
They just look at you a bit like,
be like, oh, like also like from London or something like that, yeah. Where I came, like, but this time that I really felt the difference. Going to like a bar, it would be like mostly white people, but how like the security gonna like stay next to you, how the waiter's gonna like treat you and stuff. So this I understood, and I was like, technically, it's the same. Most of the time, it's the same everywhere. Just there's less people in your country. They will be in France. You know, there's less people in Oslo. They will be in Paris. So obviously, you encounter less uncultured and technically dumb people because there's less. The number is less, so the probability is less. That's math. So yeah, and so all this time, like it's been, like I said again, you've been 24 years. You're here, so now you're technically like immersed in this Scandinavian, all culture, all this thing. Yeah. So what for me it's really important to know is like, did you through all this time with all this cultural immersion, did you find but you, as we can hear about it, you're like really able to keep this African identity, your culture and everything. I'm not technically gonna ask you where it's from because you said it already, you know, but how you cultivate, you know, through what you cultivate.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier how my mom has been like a big part of this, because when I came to Norway, I was fluent in Somali. Way, I will say like 80%.
So you lost 20%, yeah.
I definitely, and I don't think that's so bad for 24 years being here and just losing 20%. I understand way more. I understand. I would say 100%. But speaking wise, so.
I think you want still,
yeah. But and even that, and again, I have 2 younger siblings, right? And my mom, she has been extremely strong on only speaking Somali at home. So at home, it was Somalia for me. Like the food, the music, the language, my mom would only speak Somali. And obviously that impacted her as well because her learning Norwegian, she's been here 26, 7, 8 years now, and she can understand it and she can speak it, but it's not like fluent. And that's a decision she's made, that she was going to stick by the fact that she wanted us to have the culture, the Somali culture, and not lose it.
Okay. Now that we talked about like who you were in childhood, growing up, family wise, we can have like at least a little picture of who you are. I would like to go ask on your more professional, like Jawahir professional. Say Jawahir because this is how Norwegians say your name, Jawahir. So, so you've been like coming as a refugee. Okay, you mentioned earlier you're a social worker. So me, I would like to know, is this your experience as a refugee and what you live through like your young age shaped your decision towards education?
Well, as a youngster, when I had to start thinking about what I wanted to do when I grow up, it was very vague. I wasn't like totally into, I want to work with refugees or this or that, but I wanted to work with humans, like people. I wanted to work with people, and then when I had to make a decision of what I wanted to do, then the field of social work was very open. Like it included me working with people, and it could be all types of people. So it was that in the beginning. It was just about me wanting to work with people, and
there was not that much the thing was like, you know what, I was a refugee too. Yeah. I've been in this situation, and I would like to work in the same thing too. It was more like just like people I want to help. Okay.
It started off that.
Technically, I think it's like the desire of more social worker on this earth. Like they just more towards more human, the human way. So like I would like to help. Yeah. Okay. And so through your education, because we talked a little bit before, yeah. Through your education, you told me you did a thesis about Somali women. You know. I would like you to briefly tell me first why you chose it, what was the thesis and why you chose it.
So just to go further from what I just said, which was I wanted to work with people, and then when I had to decide I was going to start university and I had to do a degree, I went into welfare studies, and after my studies I started working for the Norwegian labor and welfare system, and I was mainly then working with people who was receiving social help, and that helped me get in touch with refugees. I had some of my clients were refugees. It was like big families, it was Norwegians, it was all type of people. And one thing I noticed was there was a lot of Somali women who were unemployed. They were receiving social help. And there was a lot of discussions also at my workplace about Somali women, like, oh, they don't want to work, they cannot work. It's very typical that it's the man that's working and the woman is not working. They're less integrated. It was a lot of discussion around it.
There's a problem of integration towards Somali women to like what they're saying, what they're saying, like through the numbers, they're like saying there's more unemployed Somali women compared to like other groups of ethnicities.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it just made me wonder, because again, that's what I was hearing and seeing when it comes like my profession, my work, and then in my community, I was seeing, it is. I do see a lot of Somali women who are unemployed, but it was more of a choice. I kind of saw that they chose that. They didn't want to work. They wanted to stay home, take care of their kids. Like that was a very important job for them, you know? And then you have the Norwegian culture where that is not a job. Like your kids, they go to school, you can go and work also. So I was just a bit interested.
That's interesting that you're saying, because you said like in Norwegian culture, this is not a job, you know, but like this is the whole thing. It was like I would say like more in Western culture, we would say like it's less of a job, you know, that having like the woman will be at home and stuff like this, which in our culture, you know, we have like we have a woman like the mother's gonna be at home. We're also gonna do other things. So she's got her own business. Like technically, our mother is like the most working people that we have in our culture. So they're gonna be like at home, but also they're gonna be like doing their own business, their own little thing and stuff like that. This is just we have like the dad or the man's gonna like go to one job and coming back or like this kind of thing. But you have most of the women gonna do this and this and this and this. But obviously in the Western it's different. It's a different views. Or say like if you don't have like one day job, technically, if you don't have your one day job, you're not working. And so this is interesting that you said like culture, because it's really cultural that we will see it different in our culture, you know. But yeah.
And also, like, just to go off that, like, work in Norway, that is the main way of getting integrated. Like, if you're working, you will, get integrated. You will be integrated. If you're not working, then it's like you're less integrated.
I see. So technically, you late. Technically, it's been you late on the process for you to be Norwegian. Like if you're not working, there's I can see for them the anomaly. That would be like okay. So what did you find out then? Because you did a series about less integrated like women, like Somali women. So where did you find out through your study and the people that you encounter and everything?
So when I was working then with people who received social help, that's I did that for like a year and a half after I finished my bachelor, and then I wanted to do my master's, and I wasn't so sure if I want to go in that field of working with like refugees and studying migration studies, or if I wanted to work with people with mental health issues and go and study that. So I choose migration studies because I felt like I could use more of me in that.
Your own experience.
My own experience, my community, and just more of me.
So technically, it did a little bit shaped your...
Yeah, it did. It did. Yeah. When it got to that far, when it got to not like necessarily my bachelor, but studying my master's, it did have a big impact. And also the fact that I got to work with refugees. So I did that, and I went to the UK and I did my bachelor, my master's. And when I was writing my thesis, I chose, because then in my head, I went back to all the discussions at work about Somali women, integration. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. I should do a study on this. And when I did my study, I interviewed, if I remember correctly, 6 or 7 Somali women. And it was a mix of the integrated Somali women and the less integrated Somali women. So, and what I found was that the ones that were less integrated, they came to Norway with minimum 2 kids. So it was between 2 and 5 kids when they came to Norway. And they were a bit older than the ones that were more integrated. So the ones that were more integrated, they were normally younger, no kids or max 1. and they already had this set plan of, when I get to Norway, I'm going to study, I'm going to do this. So, and the other group, they came to Norway with the mindset of, my kids, I'm going to take care of my kids and make sure they get all the possibilities and everything they want. So they were very focused on family and their kids getting the opportunities.
Okay. So like, so there's like these two groups, or like the one who's like more integrated was the one who's like, I'm not gonna say total freedom because it's not freedom, but more space to work because we have only one kid or no kids. So even if you're married and stuff, you have one kid or no kids. So you have more time technically to like do your own way. Technically, that overall coming with like 3-4 kids, and like they come in with their 3-4 kids, so it's already, you have to keep, even if like also the men have to, it's totally normal, but you already have like this setup, I would say, configuration that you had in Somalia. So I understand that. And is it like a story that really struck you, like a story that you, because you told me you interviewed like 6 to 7 women, is it like a story like that really, like, you know, like that you can really remember?
My mom was one of them. My mom was one of the women that I interviewed, and there was a lot of similarities in the stories of the women. But obviously, the story of my mom sat with me, and the fact that she is in the group of the women that decided that the kids are the focus, and should do anything for them to make sure that they get all the possibilities. But she started her study in Somalia. She was studying to become a teacher, and that was because my mom she was pretty young when she came to Norway too, in her early 20s. So she did have the possibilities that the other women also had, but she was very, very determined on the fact that I'm just going to do everything for my kids. And she just put aside all the dreams and everything she wanted for herself, even though she could have done it while she was here, but she didn't want that.
So this is more like, obviously like the story of like of your
it touched me more because the other women also, they had a lot of similar stories and similar reasonings.
It is your mom,
but it's my mom.
Can feel that. Okay, so now we know where you were, where you came, you know, like through your studies and what you were aiming for. I'd like to know right now, elaborate about your job, what you're doing right now.
So I still work for the Norwegian labor and welfare system. So it's a big system, and there's a lot of different departments. But I work for a team that works with settlement and the integration of refugees. So I am the team responsible team manager of that team, and I have like 6 people working at with me in that team, and we are responsible for everything that comes for the refugees. So from the moment they get their permit and they're supposed to be settled, we are responsible for finding them house, getting them settled. If they have kids, start kindergarten, school, whatever, all of that process, and also for something called the introduction program, where they will get a Norwegian course. Will help them afterwards when they learn a bit of Norwegian to find a job, and just coordinating everything.
Okay, so technically you take them from A to Z until they
like independent,
in a way, because I see like
that's financially, that's work-wise, that is everything.
How long can it take? Is it like, do you have a minimum, like a maximum time that you can like it's until?
It's until, because some people they can become independent by let's say they learn the language at a level where they can go around by themselves. They have a job, but they might not be financial stable. They might not have enough income to be financially independent. So then we will still be in contact with them financially wise. Like they will get some social benefits. So it varies a lot. Again, you'll see we have, if we settle a young person, woman or man, and they by themselves, they will normally learn the language a bit faster. So maybe within a year or two, they've learned the language, maybe they even found a job, then they're less in contact with us compared to, let's say, a family of 5 and 6, because we have that as well, mom and dad and 4 kids. And then for them, normally it will take longer.
I'm curious because there's something I didn't think about it, but while you were talking, I just thought about it. It was like, how the demographic of the people working in the social welfare and labor. I'm interested by that. Is this more like based like really Norwegian, white Norwegian people, or it's more like, I'll say rainbow? It's more like different type of people coming.
My colleagues.
Yeah, your colleagues. Yeah.
So this year, I moved to another office. So in Oslo, you have Oslo West, where is majority white people who live there. And then you have East. East is a mix of a lot of minorities. So for 6 years, I've worked in West. Norway West. Oslo West, Norway West. Oslo West. So majority white people. White Oslo, yeah. And you can say that the office reflects the people that live there. So yeah, when I started first, it was in 2015. It was just me and another Somali guy. We were the only black people in the office. And we had some colleagues that was Kurdish and Turkish, but extremely few. And then where I work now, East, there is extremely few Norwegians.
Okay.
So it's interesting.
Okay, that's interesting because I would think that technically it's easier to have like kind of a melting pot because you get like different type of people. Obviously, and get people from East Africa, from West, from like and people from Middle East and everything, even in your West offices. So in a way, for me, it would be like smarter to have like kind of a melting pot in the office that you can like attend. It's easier to attend to people because obviously when there's so many people coming, it's easier for them, even for your team to have you that you can like communicate easily, So, because like right now, like, okay, in your new office, it's like, it's good. You get like all the thing. But in the West has to be like a little bit of a culture shock for them coming. Like they're going to be like talking with people if you don't speak English. Like it's...
Because I started working with refugees in 2019 and I started in that office. And I could see the reaction of the refugees that we were settling. If it was a majority refugees from Syria and Eritrea. And then you had some from Afghanistan and other countries, but mostly Eritrea and Syria. And the Eritrean refugees, when they came and I was greeting them, you could just see, you could see the reaction. But yeah, that's another topic to talk about because
it just came as like obviously it has to be it has to be something that you have to numbers that you have to look on, okay, but like we know, and now we know exactly that we're really close to this type of action, immigration, refugee and stuff. We know it's a really hot subject right now, even more than before, with everything that's happening, even more where it's like non-white and non-European, going to be African people, Middle East most of the time, and how it's received. But as we also know, lately there was like different type of migrants, different type of refugees. There was like within Europe. So, and big change happened about their situation and I went the process and everything. So can you tell us about a little bit about the changes that you saw and also your opinion on it? Like how I came even for your work wise and if you're really comfortable about it, like even like personal wise.
So from 2019, when I started working with refugees, because before that we had the Syrians, when the Syrians came in 2015, 16, I think, there was a lot of refugees that came at the same time. So there's always a bit of an issue, not issue, but it's like a shock when there's a lot of refugees that come. It becomes difficult regardless. So I didn't get to experience that, but in 2020, when we had the Ukrainian refugees that came, it was the same flow. There was a lot of people that came at the same time, which is always a bit difficult to handle. But we saw totally like a different way of receiving them, because for us, normally when refugees come and they will go to asylum center and wait for their permit, and when they get their permit, that's when we get the information and we settle them. But with the Ukrainian refugees, they didn't have to. They could come to Norway and stay wherever they wanted to stay. And then when they did that, if they wanted to stay with a friend that they know, family members, even at strangers' house, which they could, the law opened up for them to do that, and also for the government to help them while they're staying wherever they're staying. Normally, that's not allowed. For us, the government, if a refugee decides to not stay at an asylum center and wants to stay with a friend, the friend has to financially take care of them. But with the Ukrainian ones, they didn't have to. The government still had to help them. That made it difficult for us because it was not a part of how we work.
Yeah, it's totally out of the process.
Yeah,
of the system.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we had to turn the system upside down and around, and to make it fit for us to receive to help them.
It was like just during this period, like for everybody, it was just like technically it's like you just for Ukrainians.
No, it was the thing is, so the law will say not Ukrainian refugees. It will say people who have temporary collective permit, but which today is Ukrainians or people, because there is also other ethnicities who live in Ukraine and comes to Norway and get that temporary collective permit. So that's the group of people that will get this benefit. So yeah, but again, majority is Ukrainian ethnicity.
And how you felt?
I saw the thought behind it, and the fact that it was a group that the government, the Norwegian government, wanted to integrate fast. So how they turned and changed the law, I was thinking, okay, it's not bad as long as this can be for everyone, because it allowed people to be a part of the community fast. So families could come, kids would enter kindergarten right away instead of waiting months in asylum center. So for me as a social worker, I saw the benefit of that. So it allows people to integrate into the system fast. But when I understood, and as I still see it now, that law, it's only temporary and it's only for this group, people with temporary collective permit, then that...
it doesn't add up.
It doesn't make sense. So other groups, they still have to be in the asylum center. Kids have to live there for months, and that's it. Yeah.
Do you think it's just also because they're European? Is this like, other than the fact, like me, I would tell by the way, I would say like just because they're white, it's easier, But also, it's because like the law, and this is the real question to ask you now. Is it also because towards the law, they're European? It's like it's refugees within the Europe. So obviously, like is it like different laws applying to them? Because they just, I don't think they wanted to go in UN, but they within Europe, so like it's different laws applying.
Because obviously I'm not afraid to ask questions at my workplace, and when we have different like what's it called, seminars, when we meet, and I ask a lot of questions, and I've been curious on why this law has been opened up for a group of people that only get a temporary permit. We know this collective permit, it's only it's just for a short amount of time. If the war stops and it's possible for them to move back, they're supposed to move back. So why are we then opening up this law for a group of people we know are not going to stay? Or by the law, this law doesn't allow them to stay for long. It's just they are given permit for 1 year at a time. Why is it for them they have this possibility? Well, and then compared to other groups that we know, if they get the permit, they're gonna stay. Like it makes more sense to let those groups learn the language and integrate into the society earlier, because that helps them. We have a lot of people who suffer with PTSD, and they get a lot of like mental issues from staying in asylum centers for so long. So why are we not letting them and the kids integrate early? But so I haven't got any good answers, because the answers I get is that no, but it's a group that they will learn the language faster, and they don't. I don't understand, because it creates in Norwegian we say it creates connection. You get like a connection to the country by integrating early. Like kids will make friends, they'll learn the language, and then you will remove them from the country. It doesn't add up.
It doesn't even make sense. Like those group will understand the thing better, because they're from, like, I would say the same continent. It doesn't even. You take someone like from 40 years old, from Ukraine. There's also big exchange. The person from, I don't know, South Sudan, or like Somalia, or like Congo will, for 40 years old, will learn faster, because also the thing that we don't understand is like most of our countries in our continent been like colonized, or like there's a lot, we're speaking a lot of language. We're already speaking a lot of languages. So,
And the funny part is that before we had refugees from Ukraine coming, there was a lot of saying that they know English, they will get a job very fast, they will integrate very fast. And what I've seen from the 2 offices that I've worked at, is that there is extremely like a low number of refugees from Ukraine that speak English fluently. I've had way more of the Syrians that speak fluent English than the Ukrainians. Okay. That was.
And did you like, other than like the pass they gave them, like the statue they gave them, did you like saw like some privilege? Like if you like just one story can pick me,
I can give you 2 short ones. The fact that they've been able to travel in Oslo for free, in Norway for free.
Yeah, you have that. Yeah, then like I don't know if it was the old friends, but you have that. It was like it was towards Ukrainian coming to Paris. They're like the tickets, everything was for free, which is mad because it's really expensive here. Yeah. Like I'll not say it's mad, because like we should help any type of refugee. It should be for every refugee, obviously. It should not be just towards those, But yeah.
And there was a city, I don't remember the city, but a city that they said Ukraine refugees can travel for free. And Oslo tried the same and got a lot of responses. So they just said refugees can travel for free. Yeah. So that's one thing. And another thing that we experience a lot, it's housing. Because we it's hard to, and in Oslo normally when to find a place for our refugees, it's always been a struggle. It's been hard. So, but with this new group of refugees coming, piece of cake. We didn't need to go out to find houses. We had landlords contacting us saying, I have a place. Rent from me here. We got 100. I remember. So this was when the war broke and then they came. We had hundreds of emails with here's housing.
Is there like some I would say like they can get like some like money out of it?
Not more than they would by renting it to someone else. Okay. This is renting, like they have apartments.
So there's no plus bonus, there's no compensation bonus because it's just like oh, you manage it. It's nice. It's nice. Most of the time it's based on how you look.
And there's a very interesting phone call with the landlord who called me and said, "Oh, I've been to IKEA and I've shopped this. I'm gonna put it together." And I said to him, "Oh, that's interesting. You're doing our job. You're doing our job for us." And he didn't get anything for that. The furnitures that he got, normally we buy the furnitures. We rent the place, we get the furnitures, we do all of that. But this landlord did the whole job for us. And how hard
it is, other than this group, how hard it is to get are you really struggling to find houses for like other refugees?
Yeah, it's extremely hard. It depends because we have some landlords who have experiences. So we've been in contact with them before, so it's easier with them. But with brand new landlords who don't have any experience with, they're already like a bit with the government. I wanna have someone that I can contact directly. And then on top of that, when we say the refugee from Congo or from Syria or Afghanistan, they're like, they don't speak the language. I don't know what type of people they are. They're very skeptical. And we need to have a lot of conversations with them to create that trust and to sell them in. So it is hard. It's very hard. And we have landlords that just don't respond to us when we send a message and we try to reach out. Oh, hi, we see you have a place, lala. We would like to no respond.
And now, I want to go on the political a little bit way, because there's a wave that started some years ago in Europe, and it's good timing because I didn't know until this morning, but it's also there in Norway. Now we have a big rise of the right. The extreme right, I was about to say extreme right political parties, in Europe. You see in Italy, in France, all these things going up in UK, technically everywhere. Now, I learned this morning that the head of the politics okay, you still have a king. There's still a king in Norway, yeah? There's no king in Norway? I thought there's a royal family.
No, we do.
You do have a king.
Oh my God.
I know more than you. Yo, I know more.
I have a cold.
Yeah, you have a cold, yeah. There's still a king. Well, under the king, there's still the parliament thing. And the party was the political party is a head is the extreme right. And so it's going to be more, I would say, as I'm thinking, more white supremacy, less kind about immigrants, refugee, and this kind of a bit racist vibe. Okay, so toward this environment, I would like to know if you if you saw something through the back years, through the past years you've been working, if you saw some shift in it, in the immigration policy, and also if you're a bit concerned about how it's going now, for the future year, because you're still gonna work in this in the future year. If you have a little bit concerned about it.
The shift that I saw, so before the war in Ukraine and from when I started working with refugees, it was the numbers of refugees that Norway was accepting was already reduced. So if I remember correctly, I think it was around 3,000, 4,000 a year maybe that we were accepting. And then we had the war in Ukraine, and I think we've accepted at least 40,000. we've had like at least 40,000 Ukrainian refugees. So I saw this reduction already before the war in Ukraine, but we showed that we can take in and settle way more. We have the finances for that
and the space,
and the space. And we're having all of these discussions about housings, and there's a lot of projects going on, especially in Oslo, where they're building. They're building houses, they're building places for refugees. So it's possible. And my concern for the coming time, again, is the same, that when we don't have the refugees from Ukraine, maybe they will go back, maybe the war will stop, that we're just going to go back to reducing the numbers of refugees.
So this is your main concern towards the future, like they still. It's like it's kind of like every country, like in Europe, is doing the same. It's like it's always been like that. It's always complaining about like immigrants and everything, but like obviously I don't know exactly. And it's interesting. Something that I will like to look for it, but like the really history of Norway towards other countries, like other countries in Africa, in Middle East, and everything in Asia and stuff like that. But we'll take what I know. Countries like France, by the way, like countries like France have had a big influence on countries in the continent, in Africa, in Asia, and everything. It complains a lot about immigrants, because they're like, why they come here, but you took everything over there, so technically there's nowhere else to go, and we already talk your language because you made us talk your language. So there's this thing of like, it's a wave of like everybody, most of the country, old empire in Europe acts like that, the same. And it's funny, like in a way it's interesting to see, even like I would say little countries, because Norway historically compared to other like Germany, France, Spain, Portugal, and everything, they don't have the same colonial history. So I would say like a little country in Europe, also had take the same walk than others. They said like, yeah, we don't want to accept them, even if you still play a certain role, in this way, in this route, I would say this immigrant route, you're still playing a certain role in it. And I think it's something that they're never gonna accept, to actually say, yeah, it's we have to take you're part of it, accountability about what we did. It's normal, it's coming, But in a way, it's like at us diaspora to be like more talking about it, be able to like at least through our stage, like telling to people to our own age, like this is why, because these people to our own age, like Norwegian who are 30 right now, in 20 years they will be 50, 30 years will be 60. So like they will be the people who like have the more knowledge in the country. So I was really between those, like, I just need to go back to my place, go back to Togo, go back to Benin, and like, to be honest, fuck Europe, fuck all this. I don't want to be there anymore, which I don't really want to. But it's also like a message that we can put as diaspora. So like we can, I will not say educate, because it's not, I'm tired to like, it's not our role to educate, but at least through this message, say like, yeah, it's totally normal. What's happening is totally normal, because you have to take accountability about what you did, and we need to grow from this, I went a little bit, but I wanted to say that. But my last question, thanks. I have two last questions though. That's a lie. My last question on your walk, it will be right now, after all we said and everything, we had this, I guess you saw all these little problems, this little fix, and if you're almighty, if you could really fix them, what's the biggest one that you would like to really fix on a problem towards immigration for refugee, all type?
when it comes to immigration, that's like bigger on a bigger scale. I would like to focus on the integration, and because I think that's where my role or my work, I've been able to kind of do some fixing or being able to impact. And what I've seen in these years that I work with refugees is the attitude that Norwegian has, like the government and the people that migrants that comes to Norway, if it's refugees or other type of migrants as well, come to Norway, it's expected of them to integrate to Norway, to integrate, like to learn the language, to find a job. You do your part, then you will integrate. But integration is two parts.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a
Like
50-50 walk.
yeah, you cannot integrate unless you're being accepted, so that the other part, the government, the people of Norway have to take them in. So I have a lot of discussions at work also surrounding jobs and work. Or people are not, they're not motivated, they're not this, they don't know the language well enough. And I've worked with a lot of different type of people in my years, and I've never met people who are as motivated as refugees. When they get settled, they're ready, they want to work. But it's all the criterias to get a job. There's a lot of criteria, language being one, how you are as a person, your qualities, your work. There's just a bunch of criteria. We cannot have those criteria and expect people to easily find a job. If having a job is going to make you integrated and we want people to integrate, then we need jobs that are open for people who don't speak that well Norwegian or don't have educational background or whatever it might be. Yeah. So that is, for me, that would be the easiest fix.
You mean like you want like more than understanding on?
Not just the understanding, because we do a lot of talking in Norway, like we understand, but out there, if I have a client. His Norwegian level is A2. He can talk, he or she, they can talk a little bit Norwegian, but it's impossible for me to find a job for this person, because when I'm out there meeting employers, they will say, but this person doesn't have this, so I cannot take them in.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
They have the background. You can be an engineer. You have your diplomas. You have everything. You know this job, but your Norwegian level is not there.
No, this is something that you get everywhere all the time. It's like you're gonna have like people working as doctor in their own country, and coming here, it's like, but you know doctor. It's like you've been practicing for more than 10 years. It is gonna be people who are like out of school, never practiced, gonna say like they're doctors, but you ain't doctor, because obviously for them it's not the same value. Same value of. Even if you did XYZ operations, it's not going to be said. Teachers say not the same value. Even for driving license, like for driving license, they're gonna tell like you don't really know. Yeah, you have to do it again. You don't really know how to drive, which is really, in a way, it's kind of an insult. Like everything that you did before, in our country doesn't work. But everything that I do in my country, if I will go there, it will work, because it's kind of like this feeling of superiority in a way. And I understand what you mean. Like for me, it was like, it's more understanding about like the culture of the other people and who the other people are. So like you said, it's a 50-50 walk. If I tell you like you should come and you should integrate, I should let you integrate, and not like tell you like you need to force the door for you to integrate. So here comes my last questions, because it's been long. It's nice. But we'll take out your family here, because if I put your family in, it will be way too easy. So like what I like to ask to the people on Table Noire is like, if you found your own Table Noire. When I say your own Table Noire, it's like a kind of a place, and not just physical place, but like just somewhere in you with people where you can like be totally you, no taboo, expressing yourself, and meeting people from our community, not just Somali community, but for all community. Did you have like this type of place in Oslo, in Norway, outside of your family? Because this is just for me, it's Somali shell. We already know you in it. It's good, but yeah.
That's a good question. I would have to say no, because
Did you look for it? Is this something that you like?
That's also something I have to take accountability of. I haven't really like looked for it, gone out of my way to look for it. And Norway has kind of been my comfort zone. Like I know the language. I've been here for so long. I have my family here, and it's interesting that you said like you removed the family, because I also thought about that. If my family didn't live here, if I didn't have my family, would I still be here?
Yeah.
No.
You think?
Yeah.
Where you be?
I don't know. That's also, again, that's like the nomad in me, that and I've traveled a lot. So there's a lot of places that I find interesting of different reasons. And I've been interested in I could see myself staying in those different countries. But Norway, it's my family, and it's the work that I have that I am passionate about, that I like and I'm comfortable with.
But so this is why you didn't even like go out to like trying to find this kind of a community, because you have your family, you have your passion. That's it. Okay, I understand that. Invite you to burst a little bit, outside of it, because even like for me, all this project was really like I wanted to also learn about like other communities, other Black communities. Even I'm also learning about like Norwegian for sure, which is culture. It's really important to learn about like human people. But from the Black communities, it became really important for me to understand like the different type of diaspora. And what I learned here about like Somali, like to be honest, what I learned about like first Somali was the first thing, like the Somalienne. I was like, whoa, yeah. And it was like, okay. And this is not something that I really encountered before. I didn't know there was like so many Congolese brothers and sisters in Oslo. And he kind of like helped me like to look at like the demographic and what happened in Norway. And obviously like it's for me like knowledge and help us to more understanding between each other. So to finish, I would like first to thank you for your for this amazing episode, all the knowledge that you gave us. And for my people who watch it, Akpwe, for the time that you took to watch it, I hope you open your eyes, your mind, your spirit. You learned something about Norway. I invite you to come from March, April to late July, maybe August. After that, we're good. It's okay. And have a good one. And next time on Table Noire.